Your phone buzzes. You see a notification. Your partner likes someone else's photo. Your chest tightens before you even finish reading. You tell yourself you're being ridiculous, that it's nothing. But the real answer is far stranger than simple insecurity. That tight feeling in your chest is not a character flaw. It's not a lack of self-confidence either, no matter how many times you've been told that. It's an extremely precise mechanism, shaped over millions of years, to solve a very concrete problem your ancestors had to face. A problem you're still facing today, without even realizing it, every time your heart races over a simple like. You've probably been told that jealousy is poison, that a healthy, well-adjusted person should never feel it, that it's a sign of unhealthy attachment or emotional immaturity. This idea is everywhere, in self-help books, in conversations with friends, in your own head at 3 in the morning as you judge yourself for checking a conversation. But if jealousy were really just a glitch in the brain, a simple accident with no function, why would it appear systematically in absolutely every known human culture, from isolated tribes in the Amazon to major modern cities, and even in many animal species that form pair bonds? Go back to the dawn of humanity. No DNA tests, no surveillance cameras, no time-stamped messages. Your ancestors lived in a world where it was nearly impossible to know, with absolute certainty, who the biological father of a child was. For a prehistoric man, investing years of food, protection, and energy into a child that wasn't his own represented a massive evolutionary loss. All those resources could have gone toward passing on his own genes instead. This problem has a name in science. It's called paternity uncertainty, and it shaped an entire part of the human brain. Think about what that meant concretely, day after day, in a small group of 20 or 30 people living together permanently. No privacy the way you know it today. Potential rivals visible at every moment, sharing the same fire, hunting the same territory, sleeping under the same shelter. The threat was never abstract. It had a face, a smell, a constant physical presence. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss has spent a large part of his career studying how this ancient problem shaped modern jealousy. In his research, he asked thousands of people across different cultures what would bother them most about an unfaithful partner. The fact that your partner sleeps with someone else, or the fact that they fall in love with someone else. The results show a striking and consistent difference across cultures. Statistically, men report being more upset by sexual infidelity. Women report being more upset by emotional infidelity. This isn't a cultural coincidence. It's the fossil trace of a different biological problem for each sex. Think about the position your female ancestors were in. A woman always knows, with certainty, that the child she carries is her own. Her problem was never genetic uncertainty. Her problem was resource loss. If her partner fell in love with another woman, he risked redirecting his protection, food, and time toward another family. The threat wasn't genetic. It was logistical. It was tied to the survival of the child already born. Two different problems. Two slightly different versions of jealousy. Both shaped by the same underlying evolutionary pressure, successfully passing on your genes. What makes Buss's research particularly compelling is its consistency across dozens of very different cultures, from industrialized Western societies to rural communities in Asia and South America. The social context changes dramatically from place to place. Laws change, norms change, family structure changes. And yet, this basic pattern, men more sensitive to sexual threat, women more sensitive to emotional threat, keeps reappearing with troubling regularity. In science, when a pattern survives that much cultural variation, it strongly suggests a deep biological origin rather than simple social learning. But jealousy isn't just an abstract idea on a questionnaire. Your body lives it physically. Psychologist Christine Harris has studied the physiological responses tied to jealousy in the lab. In her experiments, she asked participants to imagine scenarios of infidelity while she measured their heart rate, sweating, and facial muscle tension. The results confirmed something fascinating. The body reacts to jealousy almost the way it would react to a direct physical threat. Racing heart, cold sweat, muscle tension. Your brain doesn't really distinguish between an approaching predator and an approaching romantic rival. In both cases, it triggers the same ancient alarm system, designed to push you into immediate action. This is where the twist gets genuinely interesting. For a long time, jealousy has been framed as a negative, toxic emotion, a sign of psychological weakness to be eliminated. But from an evolutionary standpoint, jealousy isn't a bug. It's a feature. It exists precisely because it helped your ancestors protect their relationships, their parental investment, and their resources. Individuals who felt no jealousy at all, who stayed completely indifferent to a threat against their bond, statistically had fewer chances of passing on their genes than those who reacted and defended that bond. Biologist Robert Trivers formulated a key theory for understanding this mechanism, parental investment theory. According to this theory, the sex that invests more resources into reproduction, often the female across many species, becomes more selective in choosing a partner and develops stronger strategies to protect that investment. In humans, both sexes invest enormously in their children compared to most animal species. This explains why male and female jealousy, while different in their precise triggers, remain equally intense on both sides. In other words, that uncomfortable pang you feel isn't proof that you're a bad, possessive, or unstable person. It's an ancient, precise alarm that evolved to protect something your brain considers extremely valuable: your ability to pass on your genes and keep your resources focused on your own offspring. Now, come back to today, to that like on a photo, to that message seen at 3 in the morning with no reply, to that Instagram story where your partner shows up laughing with someone else. None of this resembled, in an environment where your brain evolved, a real and immediate threat. Social media didn't exist 100,000 years ago, but your alarm system hasn't changed one bit since then. It keeps scanning your social environment exactly the way it did on the savannah, searching for the slightest sign of a threat to your bond. The problem is, social media provides a volume of ambiguous signals your ancient brain was never built to process. A harmless like, a comment that could be innocent or not, an ex-partner resurfacing in friend suggestions. Each of these signals triggers the same ancient mechanism, originally designed to detect a real rival standing in front of you, flesh and blood, in your small survival group. Your brain doesn't know that an Instagram like probably has no real consequence for your relationship. It processes the information exactly the way it would process a real rival approaching your partner near the campfire. This is why modern jealousy sometimes feels disproportionate to the actual threat. It's not that your emotional system is broken. It's that it operates at a speed and sensitivity designed for a world that no longer exists, applied to a world saturated with social signals 24 hours a day. Think about how many potential rivals your ancestors crossed paths with in an entire lifetime. A few dozen people, maybe 100 at most. Today, your feed shows you hundreds of attractive, smiling faces every single week, often directly or indirectly connected to your own social circle. Your ancient alarm system, built to monitor a tiny closed group, now has to process a flood of social information thousands of times denser than anything it ever encountered in its evolutionary history. Some social psychologists have started studying what they call digital partner monitoring, the behavior of quietly checking a partner's posts, likes, and comments. This behavior maps directly onto what evolutionary biologists call mate guarding, an ancient strategy observed in both humans and many animal species that form stable pair bonds. In birds that mate for a season, the male stays in literal constant proximity to his partner during her fertile period, specifically to keep any rival from getting close. Your urge to check your partner's phone is, at its core, just a digital version of that same ancestral behavior. That doesn't mean jealousy should always be blindly followed. Your ancient brain has no idea about modern context. It can't tell the difference between a polite like to an old coworker and a genuine signal of betrayal. Understanding where this emotion comes from gives you a powerful tool, the ability to recognize the signal without automatically being controlled by it. There's also something deeply human in the fact that this emotion, uncomfortable as it is, actually reveals the importance of the bond you're trying to protect. Christine Harris's research also showed that the intensity of a jealous reaction is directly tied to how much value you place on the relationship. The more a bond matters to you, the more sensitive your ancient alarm system becomes to the slightest signal of threat. In that sense, feeling jealous isn't proof that your relationship is fragile. It's often proof of the opposite, proof that your brain has classified this bond as something essential to protect. This also explains why you almost never feel jealous over relationships that don't really matter to you. The coworker you see once a week who gets a like from a stranger triggers nothing in you. No alarm goes off because no real investment is at stake. Jealousy only appears where your brain perceives a genuine stake, which makes it, paradoxically, an excellent indicator of what actually matters to you. There's a strange kind of comfort in that reframe. The friend who tells you they've never once felt jealous in any relationship isn't necessarily more secure than you. In many cases, it simply means the stakes were never high enough for their ancient alarm system to activate. Jealousy, uncomfortable as it feels in the moment, is often the emotional signature of genuine attachment, not the absence of it. None of this makes the feeling pleasant. Your body still floods with the same stress hormones your ancestors experienced when a rival approached their fire. Your thoughts still spiral in the same repetitive loop, checking, rechecking, imagining worst-case scenarios. But knowing the origin of that loop changes your relationship to it. Instead of asking what's wrong with me for feeling this, you can start asking what is this alarm actually responding to? And is the threat it detected real or just noise from a world it was never built to read? The next time that familiar tightness shows up in your chest, you'll know what it really is. Not a weakness, not a flaw in your personality, but a protective system millions of years old, triggered by a simple like on a screen, trying to do today exactly what it has always done, protect what your brain considers most precious. So the next time your phone buzzes and that notification appears, and your chest tightens before you even finish reading, remember, it's not weakness. It's an ancient alarm that just did, in silence, exactly what it was designed to do.